So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you 3 movements, 3 positions that you can use on a client to help mobilize their shoulder and mobilize their hip and lumbopelvic group, as they would be called. Because we get a lot of people who are desk jockeys, sitting around, driving around a lot, and part of our future going forward is not just being stopwatch jockeys, but is to actually assess and correct individuals, use some corrective exercise techniques. We are not physical therapists. We cannot diagnose and prescribe, but we can assess and correct, which means we just use the same thing under a different name. So I'm going to show you some nifty tricks I've picked up that almost instantaneously increases a person's range of motion in the shoulder. So the reason why I had you kneel on this is because it's going to keep you from hyperextending your back. Now what I want you to do is to reach up straight overhead, both arms as far back as they're going to go. Okay, so if you look here, Mark's got the video, this hand is back just slightly more than this one. So this is a good situation here. We're going to mobilize this side of your body. I want you to go ahead and climb up. Now the first thing I'm going to have you do is I've got this loaded barbell here. And what you're going to do is you are going to trap your trapezius, take the bar and place it right where your trapezius meets your neck, and kind of use a little bit of upward pressure into the bar. Hang on to it if you have to keep it from rolling away. And all I'm going to have you do is raise your arm up and down. And you should make some pain face, because your trap is probably pretty tight as you do this, okay? And I'm just going to have you wave 8 times up and down, but you should feel constant pressure because you're trying to lift the thing and move your arm up and down.
So I'm pressing so hard as if to try and lift
Well, don't cut off. If you're feeling like you're getting shooting pain down, hold on here, let me get, or right there. If you feel like you're getting shooting pain down your arm, or like your fingers are falling asleep, you're on a nerve, you don't want to do that. But it should feel like that. Now go ahead and wave the arm to the ceiling. Yeah, you should get a little bit of brow arching and feeling of that tacking that down, and it's so tight. And you're going to find every repetition releases it a little bit more. And you already see she's reaching back a little further. This is number 4. Number 5, 3 more. Yeah, that's it. No.
So we would diagnose this when somebody was...
You do exactly kind of what I showed you there. Oftentimes they're hugely immobile. Come on out of there, Leslie. Kneel back down, and we're going to have you, this is test and retest.
Use the word diagnose.
That's right, and just reach back. So immediately we're getting equalized kind of side to side, so you gain a little bit off of that. So that's number 1. The second thing I'm going to have you do is we're going to roll out your lat and your stratus anterior. Because what happens is the stratus anterior attaches to your rib cage, and then it attaches up underneath your shoulder blade. So one of the things that happens is you come overhead, if that is tight, it doesn't allow the shoulder to rotate out, or shoulder blade to rotate out and come overhead. So all I'm going to have you do now, take your arm, cross your body. You don't have to go very far down the ribs, just your left side. We're just mobilizing that one side. Down. If you find any tender spots, sit on it, or do this back and forth beating kind of thing. Now you don't want to get up on the shoulder joint. I'm staying just no higher than the armpit, down the ribs. A very short movement. Just on that side. Have some use. So that's a little too high.
You're romantic.
So there you go. Now use that leg and rock yourself, propel yourself back this way. Going down the rib, yeah, a little bit like that.
We needed a soundtrack.
Now turn into just a little bit more. There you go. Now roll again. And you'll be tender, a little bit tender.
Please note that was Keith's phone.
So you don't have our arms crossed like you had yours crossed?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
The point is, in fact, in this case, if you feel like a person isn't getting it, you can always do this and drag your arm across a little bit more. But again, you're not going up on the shoulder. You don't want to go that high. You only need to go to about there. Okay. I'll roll down again one more time. Back. Forward. Good. Okay. Kneel again. Test and retest here. So same thing. Kneeling, same position. Reaching back overhead. Let's take a look at that left side. Keep reaching. Yeah, you're getting a little bit more out of it. It's actually interesting because it's almost as if this side is coming along for the ride, even though we're not doing anything for it. One more thing we're going to do here, and this one is a fun one. So, most people don't understand, you say rotator cuff. How many muscles are in the rotator cuff? 4. 4 muscles in the rotator cuff, but the one that most people tend to feel pain in, you've got the supraspinatus, which attaches, this is the spine of your scapula here, and it comes off of this, runs across, and attaches here. But most people, when they injure that, it's catastrophic. It's not a strain, it's a tear. Heavy overhead pressing is one of the things that pins, and it pinches that. Most people, they get the infraspinatus, which is on the inferior side, the lower portion right here, and the teres minor, and they come across and they go like this. So how do you massage that? It's up against the border of the scapula. You take this, and you're going to fit the ball right here in this space, and I'm showing you that upright because what you're going to see me do, take that ball, pin it there, lay your body weight on it, and go to work. And then you'll do some of this, turning into it, turning off of it. Find those spots that feel like they're going to make you cry, and wait for them to relax. And then again, we'll test and retest and see how your shoulder is. This is a bit of a self-searching, but the point is here, right? Take it to there. And you just sort of, in that little space between the arm and the scapula there. Now, pin it. Now move your arm back and forth like this. And that should change the dynamics, change the feeling in that spot. Other direction, turn it in. There you go, like that. External rotation you should be okay with. That'll also, the internal rotation, this is another one of diagnosing. If you have people that can't even turn their arm in a little bit, that's a separate discussion, but this is one easy way to diagnose it.
Ow.
Assess it.
Ow.
Yeah, ow, good. Good. Okay, so go ahead and climb up. One more retest here, see how the shoulder is. Leaning down, sitting back, reaching up overhead. And yeah, we're getting a little bit more out of it now, just a smidgen more than it was. So that's the shoulder, those 3 simple moves. Most people tend to get a huge amount out of this. There's no real test-retest, this is more of a subjective feeling. Is the figure 4 on the ball. Tennis ball will also be good in this case. You're going to cross your leg over, and you want to think about the hip structure. The pelvis is kind of this open plate from here to here, and you've got all this musculature that crosses. And so by crossing your leg, one knee over the other, and getting the ball in that space, and going hunting, you're going to find all sorts of wonderful knots, trigger points, tension. You just roll that sucker out to get the glute to release, and you'll have clients saying, I feel it coming all the way down my leg. That's in part because your glute attaches into the IT band. So you're actually, by jabbing that down, you're pulling on the IT band, which runs all the way down to your lower leg here. So I want you to do that.
Still stay on the left side.
Stay on your left side. There's no.
What part of it is this? Is just an assess part?
This is a correct. I can tell you that every person, let's cross this leg up.
Oh.
Other side.
Other way.
There we go.
There we go. I can tell you that
something's
everybody
alright.
you have, if they have sit jobs, they do this and their butt is going to light up like a Christmas tree because of how tight it is. Very few people get on this and they go, feels okay. The more mobile people go, oh, this feels nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to go, it just feels like pressure. And you'll find, like that.
There's places. Yeah.
Like that. So the reason why we're doing this is because you get people coming in with lumbar extension. And normally that's coupled with some external rotation at the hips. They're not walking around like a 75-year-old man, but they're working towards it. So the first thing, you get these guys to release so they can actually turn in appropriately. And the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to foam roll the lateral aspect of your quadriceps and your rectus femoris so that you can reduce the pelvic tilt. Go ahead and climb up.
Yeah, thanks.
We roll with being on the side. We're going to roll the IT band. The thing is, it's a band of, it's like silver skin on a pork tenderloin. That's a
Yeah.
no, that gives you that idea, which really means that it's not flexible. It acts as a lateral border. It connects your hip and your hip down below your knee, so the torque you have to create is much smaller. It has better leverage as a result, as opposed to attaching way up here. It also provides some border for your quadricep and your hamstring to contract, so they don't wiggle all over the place. But if you turn yourself over just slightly, so if there's the seam of my pants is the IT band, if this is the dead center of my leg, if you roll this part of your thigh all the way up to the hip, you're going to find all sorts of fun in there. And that is your rectus femoris. It's the only head of the quadricep that crosses the knee and the hip. And when it's tight, it pulls like this. And if you're sitting all the time, you're pulling the knee, you're pulling the muscle this way, which is then pulling it this way. And I'm not, your hip flexors are a whole different discussion, but this is contributing to that. So on the left side again, I want you to roll on this slightly off center on your thigh. So for you, that's down the side, there. Now, that's better. And if you find any tender spots, you pause on it.
Breathe.
The
Yeah.
whole leg.
It's the entire part?
It's the entire part. Can you pause on the entire part? Yeah. And then also, here's the fun. Rotate back and forth like this on it. Yeah.
Ow!
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so, and you're an athletic, in shape, fairly mobile individual. You can imagine the type of nasty, grody bits that our clients are experiencing. So you do something like that. Easy way, gets people's attention. And you can normally test how it feels, even with something of pulling up of the leg or moving back of the leg, how their hip structure feels. You go ahead and get off that, Leslie. One more thing. How many, everybody thinks, stretch your hamstrings, you do this, and you lean into it. Well, what happens is you wind up, you lock out your knee, you move the muscle belly towards the back of your leg, and then you're changing the tension by moving at the hip. You can do that at the opposite side of your leg as well, and you can make it better with a band. So, wind this band up so it gets up on the thigh. And what that's doing is that's pulling the entire femur away from the hip joint, which sounds like bad news, but it's not. What you're going to do then, pull your leg up, grab the back of the leg, and then extend. And you've locked this off, and now you're stretching the hamstring from the knee side rather than from the hip side. And even playing with angles changes what you're able to get out of that hamstring. So you might have someone with exceptionally tight hamstrings that way who can get down here and really get a nice stretch out of their hip. And for whatever reason, it's less agonizing. Okay, so straighten that leg out. Pull this all the way up and anchor it like that, and then, right, exactly, you just pump in and out of it. So, like that, back up, like you're going to extend all the way through. Now, bring the leg out, bend it again. Now move it out this way, extend again. And you feel it gets a little bit of a different entry, a little bit of a different stretch. Right. Now, as a point of reference, when you take this off, go ahead and do the same thing without the band and tell me if it feels different or not. Yeah, you don't realize. Yeah, you don't realize how the reason why is that your hamstring attaches way up on your pelvis, and so if I can displace the bone just a little bit, it's kind of like taking a band. It's kind of like going like this. If this was your hamstring, and then having that band going perpendicular to the muscle stretches it like that. Almost like you'd be playing a chord on a string instrument. That's what you're doing and automatically increasing the stretch.
Right.